Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Stuart Robson and Stevie Nicol. When it comes to Club World Cup, it's been quite polarising, hasn't it? Some have loved it, some have hated it. Not surprising, though, one man who has definitely loved it was Gianni Infantino. The FIFA president has come out and, he's joined by some big boys there on stage, including Del Piero, Kaká, Ronaldo, Baggio, all there to support the FIFA president. I'm sure they were very much enjoying their time in New York. This is what he had to say, in particular what they've learned about this tournament looking ahead to the World Cup next summer. Obviously the weather has been a big talking point, hasn't it? And this is what he had to say about what's going to happen in the future. It's been a huge, huge success. And the golden era of football has started. Of course, the heat is an issue. Last year at the Olympic Games in Paris, games during the day in all sports took place in very hot conditions. Cooling breaks are very important, and we will see what we can do. But we have stadiums with roofs, and we will definitely use these stadiums during the day next year. Stevie, the golden era of football. How lucky we are to be living in it.
And we've got it right at the very start as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Forget what's happened in the past. No. That's been rubbish.
Yeah. And so, I guess he never mentioned anything about the field.
No, I don't believe the fields were mentioned.
Oh, they don't. That doesn't count.
No, the heat obviously was.
So how many stadiums have got roofs?
I think 4 we've counted.
4.
I think so.
Well, the problem is there are 46 teams in this, right?
48.
48.
Yes.
48. So 4 into 48. That's a lot of games in 4 stadiums, isn't it?
Mark Ogden is with us. Julien Laurent as well. We'll be hearing from Jules in a moment. But Oggy, you were at the press conference. What a privilege.
Yeah, I think press conference is probably overselling it a bit. It was sold as a media scrum, which is probably the best way to describe it. We're all kind of behind a bit of a barrier, having to shout questions in and just hoping that Gianni Infantino and his legends would take our time. But yeah, it was a bit of a strange scenario. There was a coffee machine above the press conference, and every time somebody wanted a coffee, you heard this kind of percolator making a hissing sound, and somebody banging the barista was banging the coffee on the wall. So it was quite a shambles, really, but it kind of summed up the environment. We're in the Trump Tower lobby having a press conference.
So negative, Oggy, to it all. Obviously, the big takeaways are the fact that they feel like they've learned a lesson with regarding the weather, but it is interesting what the boys brought up, how many stadiums actually have roofs and can cater to this idea of having covered matches in the World Cup next summer in the afternoon, Mark.
Yeah, well, there's 4 stadiums so far. There's Dallas, there's Vancouver, there's Houston, and there's one more, Atlanta. So there's only 4 stadiums, and I don't think that is enough to kind of carry the load. So obviously all these cities that are hosting games will have signed contracts with FIFA. They'll be expecting a big windfall financially from this. So I can't see FIFA taking games away from cities that have stadiums without roofs, but they may have to add maybe one venue with the roof. So you've got the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. I think there might be one in Phoenix as well. But these are questions that FIFA need to answer, because what Infantino said was they will use these stadiums with roofs and air conditioning during the daytime. So obviously there's got a lot of games. You can't play all of the games in daytime under a roof. So they've still got some issues to address. But I don't think he can deliver it. But then equally, Gianni Infantino, he can deliver what he wants because he put Inter Miami into the Club World Cup.
Well, yes, indeed. Jules, what do you make of Infantino's comments, given that they've learned the lesson going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we could have told him before the start of the tournament what was going to happen anyway. We all knew that the weather especially. He talks about the Olympics in Paris. There was no football matches at 3 p.m. local time in the heat in Paris, for example. All the games were much later or in the evening. You had other events, yes, in the heat, but not football. And I think I agree with what the boys have been saying and what Oggy has just been saying. 4 stadiums with a roof for all those teams, all those games. You might add 2 or 3 in each of those stadiums, but still, you will have a lot of games, even in the afternoon, that are played somewhere else. 4 stadiums out of 16, by the way. That's not many at all. So good luck with that.
Obviously, Mark, he's defined it as a huge, huge success. Positive and negatives for you who've travelled around during the knockout stages within this tournament. Has there been more positives than indeed negatives?
It's a hard one to say, obviously. I mean, look, the crowds at the semi-finals in New Jersey have been great. I think there'll be a full house on Sunday at the final. I think a lot of the teams that have been involved, certainly the South American teams, have really enjoyed it, and the fans have been fantastic. I think a lot of the moans and gripes have come from the European teams, and that is because they've had a long season. They don't want to be here because they're tired, etc., etc. And the heat has caught a lot of people out. But I think it has been an overall positive competition. But as long as they use the lessons that they've learned this time to implement next year, because it's a bigger tournament next year. There's 48 teams, there's going to be many more fans. I think more games are going to be held up by the weather because there's more games. A lot of fans will be caught out by the travelling because, as we know, flights can be delayed, cancelled. So I think they have to learn the lessons and put them into place, because otherwise you'll get games called off and then that will make a real mess of the schedule. What's going to happen then if you have to get 5 games in a day, if you have to get games in, you know, final group games that should be played simultaneously, if they're disrupted by the weather? So a lot of issues to address, but in terms of the covered stadiums, they've left that way too late. I don't think they can deal with that now, because there's too many games that will have to be played away from covered stadiums.
Robert, has this tournament exceeded expectations in your eyes?
Yes, it has. Not because I think it's been a great tournament, because I'm totally against it. I think it's too much football. It was the wrong tournament to have at this time of the year, and any year come to that. But I was surprised at the intensity of some of the games. I was surprised by some of the quality of the games. You know, we just saw those semi-finals and PSG played out their skin. We saw PSG go and press the ball in one of the games against Inter Miami and didn't let Inter Miami play whatsoever. So there was a lot of intensity. There was lots of good football. But it's the wrong time of year to play it, and I think there's too much football, and it's going to damage some of the players.
I can honestly say that in the proper World Cup with the countries, from the first game to the last game, I'm right in it.
Right.
And I can honestly tell you, in this competition, it wasn't until, I'm going to be generous and say the quarterfinals, that I kind of got into it, which, from my point of view, the rest of it was pretty meaningless.
Jules, you've been a big proponent of this competition, very much loving every moment of it.
No, I think he's been good. I share some of the points from Robo and from Stevie. I think maybe this time, for the first time, there were too many teams. You could have easily started with 12 or 24 and see how that worked out with less teams. I think to go straight to 32 was a lot. And we've seen at times teams that shouldn't have been there, games that really shouldn't have been played either. But I think overall it's been good. The football has been probably better than what we expected. Not in every game, but in some of the games. I agree with Robo. Some performances for some teams have been really good. Individually, it was good. It was good to see teams that we don't get used to see too many times in Europe. For example, the South American teams and even MLS teams against European teams. I think we've enjoyed that. We've enjoyed the Brazilian teams, for example, more than the Argentines. So overall, I've enjoyed watching it.
Thank God for PSG, though, Mark. Overall, you take a look at the quality that's been on the show. I think if you take them out of this tournament, then it goes down a lot, doesn't it, as a spectacle?
Yeah, I want Jules to turn the volume down now, because I'm going to praise PSG. I mean, listen, they've been the best team by far. They're the best team in the world. I mean, I think they're the best team we've seen since Barcelona that Pep had. They're such a good team to watch. Every department of that team is top level. Now, I don't see how Chelsea got a chance, but they've really lit up the tournament. I think they will have developed a bigger fan base in the US because of it, because they play such an interesting way, such an exciting way, and fans will latch onto that. So, you know, PSG have been a great advert for the tournament. And, you know, listen, whoever wins tomorrow will deserve to win, but if Chelsea win, I think it will have a different kind of complexion on the tournament. It needs the best team in the world to win the first Club World Cup, I think.
Just a reminder, plenty of content looking back at the Club World Cup and what we've learned from it over on our YouTube channel. Just be sure to go to ESPN FC and subscribe. Right then, Sunday sees the final, no surprise then. PSG are huge favourites then to lift the trophy. Chelsea coming in as underdogs. PSG fans out, of course, in numbers to support their side. As Mark mentioned, I'm sure they've won a lot more supporters as well over the last month. This was their meeting in Times Square. I bet you were jealous you weren't there, Jules. You're in Switzerland at the moment.
I am a little bit, to be fair, but it's great to watch. I've watched all the games. I've still been in touch very much with the team from here. So it's great. It's great. I'm glad to see those fans there. You've got the PSG fan club from New York with, I think, has 250 members. And then the club has invited a lot of the ultras to come for the semi-final and the final. It was a very affordable kind of package deal. If you want 500 euros for your plane tickets, your hotel, your match tickets for the semi-final and potentially the final if they qualified, which they did. So I'm glad a few of them, few hundreds came from Paris as well for the semi-final and final.
Compare and contrast, Jules, the way in which this tournament is being covered in France with PSG, the big favourites, say, to England.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you've got games on big channels in France who bought the rights for the PSG games. So the final, obviously, tomorrow. The women's team are playing, by the way, here in Switzerland. But instead of showing that on the main French TV channel, they swapped to another channel. So both could be on terrestrial TV, but the PSG game, the final, will be on the biggest channel of the two. And all along, the coverage from L'Équipe newspaper, for example, has been great. From Le Parisien newspaper, it's double pages, 3 pages every day, pretty much, to follow the team. And because, as Mark said, PSG have done so well, because they're in course for what would be an incredible 5th title in this one, and potentially 6th with the Spurs game. And then, let's not forget, there's also the Intercontinental Cup coming in December. That's still on. Yeah, that's still on, despite this Club World Cup. They might win 7 title in the season, which nobody has ever done because there was no Club World Cup before. So it's a very much a historical season potentially for them, and that's been covered heavily in France.
Meanwhile, in England, Oggy, I suppose you've had Wimbledon, you've got Test cricket. It seems that transfer talk still seems to be making bigger headlines than what we've seen happen here.
Yeah, I was surprised. I saw the back pages from the Saturday morning papers in the UK, and it's not really made a ripple that this game. And you know, obviously, I think Enzo Fernandez made some quite spiky comments about the heat and the weather yesterday. I thought they would have made the back pages, but no, you're right. It's cricket, it's Wimbledon, a bit of stuff about Liverpool, so it's not really caught the attention. And I think there's a real kind of aversion to it in the UK because, I mean, obviously we're quite grumpy in the UK at best when it comes to football, but I just think it's not caught the attention because it's not been sold in the UK as a positive experience. It's been sold as another FIFA junket. So I guess, and also as well, Liverpool aren't in it, Manchester United aren't in it, the biggest clubs aren't in it, Chelsea and Man City are big clubs but not quite at that level, so they haven't really kind of gripped the nation like I suppose the biggest clubs would have done.
Right then, Robbo, how do you stop PSG?
There's 2 things that Chelsea will need to do very well. And the first one is, and I've seen it happen to PSG on 2 or 3 occasions, but Arsenal did it in the very first game when PSG weren't playing particularly well, and then in the second leg of the semi-final. And it's almost, you've got to lock them down one side of the field. And I've seen it happen a couple of times. Bayern did it quite well. So you almost let the ball go to the left-sided centre-half, who will be Beraldo in the game tomorrow, and almost force him to pass it to Mendy, who goes quite deep. And then go and block them playing it back and block them playing into midfield. And they play a straight ball, and it happened many, many times. They play a straight ball to Kvaratskhelia, and that's when he's not so good with his back to goal. And it
I'm laughing, Robbo, because I stopped listening after about 5 seconds.
But you asked me, and that's
no,
how
I know.
That's how they won. Teams have won the ball back against them the most. And the other thing they've got to do with Gyokeres on the left-hand side, he likes to press in. Is he going to press against Hakimi and really go up the field? And he's got to then get Colville, who will probably play on the left-hand side, to come across and mark Doué. That's a big decision that the manager's got to make. That's a big decision that Gyokeres has got to make. Does he leave Doué and come and close Hakimi down before he can get a run on him, or does he drop off and try and hope that Neto goes back with him or Nkunku goes back with him? I think it's got to be the former.
Do you agree, Stevie?
I'm kind of going to go old school. I think you just let them have the ball and back off. You know, even if you do what Rob was talking about, you still have to be at your very best with your front guys closing and the spacings all over the field. And even if you're at your best doing that, if they're at their very best with the ball, you're still going to struggle.
What I was saying is, at those moments when you think, right, this is the time, this is the trigger. We've got the left centre-half's got it. They're going to go to the full-back. Now we've got 2 or 3 seconds maybe to go and press. The other times, I agree, you've got to let them have the ball, be compact and do what Real Madrid didn't do, which have too many spaces and the midfield players didn't go and close down. When the ball comes, if you're not going to press the ball, when it comes into midfield and and defensive areas, you've got to be even more intense with your closing down, even more intense with going and stopping people playing forward. Real Madrid didn't do that. They weren't closing people down in the front areas. The midfield players just stood in their position and allowed PSG's midfield to run around them. And then the back players made bad decisions to come out and press the ball at the wrong time. And Chelsea can't afford to do that.
And again, that's coming from on the board, in theory.
Yes.
If all that's done properly, it works. But again, if you look at the 2 teams in terms of football smartness, I'm not so sure Chelsea as a unit can do that. So that's why I would be, if I'm Chelsea, I'm backing off and say you're going to have to get through 10 men and a goalkeeper.
The only problem is Maresca in his press conference yesterday, when they said to him, well, you're not going to have much of the ball, are you? He went, who says we're not going to have much of the ball?
Right.
So that almost says that he wants to go and press it.
Yeah.
How do PSG lose this game, Jules?
It's a good question. I mean, I think both Stevie and Robo's tactics can work, but the times where we saw PSG the most rattled this season was the second half against Aston Villa in that quarter-final away at Villa Park. At the break, PSG were 5-1 up on aggregate, so Villa had nothing to lose really in that second half, and they went and were so aggressive, especially in that midfield. They had a very solid, strong, physical midfield at the time with Kamara and McGinn and Tielemans and Onana, and they really went for it. And they went for Vitinha, and they went for Neves, and they went for Ruiz, and that disturbed PSG a lot with the ball, and they recovered the ball quite high and then created some chances. Arsenal, like Robo said, semi-final, second leg, the first 20 minutes, if Odegaard scored that chance, and 0-0, then they can come back again. But they were, again, very aggressive, very front-footed. The problem is, and we saw Bayern doing that, is that if in your press, when you're front-footed, you don't get the ball back like you want to, PSG are through you, and then they will create chance after chance. So it's very difficult. I think it's finding the right balance, really, between the two tactics that Stevie and Robo just explained. Sometimes playing deeper and sometimes going for it, but you can't get it wrong if you go and press them high, because if they go through you, then on the other hand, it will be a big chance for them.
How much are Chelsea playing with house money coming into this, Mark, considering what? PSG over the last 12 months, beaten Villa, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, thrashed Inter Milan, thrashed Real Madrid. No one's expecting Chelsea to do much in this tie. Given that, can they go into it and kind of be like, right, let's go and give it our best, but if we lose, we know we're not going to get killed as a result?
Yeah, listen, I don't think Chelsea should be here in this final. They've had a soft run to the final. They've not really beaten any teams of any consequence. You know,
they
with
can
all
only,
due respect
Mark,
to the teams
they can only beat the teams that are
level.
in front of them. This anti-Chelsea on ESPN
Yeah,
FC is getting ridiculous.
No, you're absolutely right, Dan. But what I'm saying is that they haven't met a team of PSG's quality or of Real Madrid's quality or of Bayern Munich's quality, but PSG have beaten those teams. And I think we have to remember, Chelsea finished fourth in the Premier League last season, and it was a kind of a struggle to get fourth. They won the Conference League playing against teams that are nowhere near the level of Chelsea, never mind PSG. I think when they come into this game on Sunday, they'll meet a team which they're just not equipped to deal with. I think, you know, in midfield they've got Caicedo and Fernandes. Good players, but that's 2 against 3 against the best midfield in the world. Every team's got a puncher's chance. We know that. It can always kind of turn around. But I just think PSG are playing so well. They've got so many options. Chelsea are a young team, a young developing team. This could get quite messy on Sunday. And it's not because Chelsea are a bad team. It's just because they're playing the best team in the world right now, who are absolutely at the top of their game.
Let's take a look at everyone's predictions, shall we, for the tie that takes place on Sunday. No surprise, PSG very much the favourites amongst most. I'm going to say, Jules. Why has Jules got complicated? Why have you got complicated, Jules?
I'm not.
Yeah,
I just think
time.
I think Chelsea are going to make it hard for PSG physically. I think they can compete in terms of intensity, what Robo was talking about earlier. And I think for that, I think they have a chance that way. I think in the end, PSG will be too strong and should win, but I think Chelsea is going to make it hard for them.
Easy.
We're talking about PSG as they played against Inter, and we talk about PSG as they played against Real Madrid. But I saw moments in the Bayern Munich game where Bayern Munich caused them 1 or 2 problems, and in the first half were probably the better team. I've seen Arsenal cause them 1 or 2 problems. Jules talked about Aston Villa causing them problems.
Interesting news coming out of Manchester United today. Onana out for 6 to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury. And obviously, as Mark and Jules are still with us, Hoggy, we knew that it looked like Manchester United were openly shopping around for a new goalkeeper, hoping to get Onana off their books. We saw numbers of like 30 million, didn't we? What does this injury mean?
Well, it means they're kind of on the back foot in terms of a goalkeeper, because the 2 options they got right now are Altay Bayandi, who was not very good last season when he came in, and Tom Heaton, who's, I think he's pushing 40, if he's not 40 already, who's not played for about 3 years. Now, we do know that Onana is available, and Jules might have a better idea about Monaco's interest, but I don't think Monaco will pay £30 million for him. But while United have been waiting to find out what's happening. We know that they like Emi Martinez at Aston Villa. He'd be the obvious solution, but a lot of good goalkeepers have already gone. You know, Joan Garcia's left Espanyol for Barcelona. Mark Flecken left Brentford to go to Leverkusen. We've seen Kevin Kelleher leave Liverpool for Brentford. We've seen even Kepa move to Arsenal. So some good goalkeepers have gone. So it means that United now, if they don't get Emi Martinez, which is, you know, it's not going to be easy, then they've got a problem. And it seems to be, before a ball's even been kicked, the same old story at Man United, injuries and, you know, lack of planning. So right now they've got 2 goalkeepers who aren't up to the job.
We covered yesterday, Mark, obviously Ter Stegen being told that he'll be 3rd choice at Barcelona. Is he in play at all to make a move to Old Trafford?
He could be, but he's not played. I mean, he's not played for about a year, has he? So I think if ter Stegen is the option, that would be, I think, he'd be way down the list because that would be a gamble. United have made a lot of gambles over the years. Obviously, ter Stegen's a great goalkeeper when he's at the top of his game and he's fit, but he's not played for a long time at any real level. So I think ter Stegen would be a concern if United ended up with ter Stegen probably at the end of August when they're panicking.
Robbo, you said you'd take ter Stegen.
No, I
yesterday.
said I would prefer him because I wouldn't take Martinez. I don't. There's something about Martinez
Right,
that
so
I
then
wouldn't have
you
in
said
my.
you'd take ter
The
Stegen.
choice was between those two.
Yes, exactly.
And I would take ter Stegen over
Right.
Martinez because
Okay.
you're going to have to pay a lot of money for Martinez. You're not going to have to pay so much to ter Stegen, and I think he's a more solid character.
Right.
And
Which is what I don't know
Yes.
why you started defensively.
So what I would, if he's going to be out for 8 weeks, Onana, then you're going to have to get somebody pretty quickly.
Yes.
And it's about which goalkeepers are available. ter Stegen,
Right.
as we heard, is available.
Yeah.
And he hasn't played for a year, but there's a very, very good goalkeeper there that can, if he's done all the right work, he's done all the right rehabilitation, he could be a great signing for them.
Jules, what's your take on it all?
I mean, the first one is I'm not sure how you can get injured on your second or third day or maybe a week in your preseason. I find that hard to understand really, unless Onana was not fit when he returned to go to preseason. The second one is I think you've got good goalkeepers available, but how much of United's budget was going to go for that anyway in the first place? Because we know they spend already a lot of money on Cunha. They will spend a lot of money on Mbomo. There's other positions that they also need to strengthen, probably even before the goalkeeper. But now the goalkeeper has become even more of a necessity than it was before. So how much money do you have? Is it 20 million? Is it 30 million? If you want to go for Lucas Chevalier, for example, at Lille, who is the best under-23 goalkeepers in Europe right now, how much money are you going to be ready to invest in him? We're talking, it won't cost you less than £40 million anyway, probably slightly even more. Do you have that money available without taking too much away from your budget for other positions? I'm not sure. So do you do a goalkeeper on a cheap? And who is cheap right now, the goalkeeper that would be good enough for United?
Who's going to be in goal at the start of the season for United, Mark?
Good question. I mean, it'll be Altay Bayandi at this stage, unless they get somebody in. I wouldn't have any confidence, because like Jules said, United have got other priorities. Well, the priorities that have changed, obviously, with the goalkeeper being injured, but they haven't got a lot of money to throw around. So unless they can get players out, and they've got a few players that they're happy to get rid of, Marcus Rashford, Alejandro Garnacho, Anthony, Jadon Sancho, etc., they're going to find it hard to bring people in. So they need to get people out, but that is difficult because clubs know that United are desperate, so they're not going to make a move now. They're going to keep United waiting. So United are in a bit of a position here because they haven't got a lot of money to spend and they haven't got a lot of time on their hands because the Premier League season starts in, 4 or 5 weeks?
4 or 5 weeks as well for Arsenal to find a striker. Jules, tell us the latest on Gyokeres and what's going on with regards to his situation in Portugal at the moment.
Well, we know that he hasn't showed up for pre-season for the first day of training, which is not something that I think players do usually, but he wants to not force the move, but he doesn't understand why this is not done, and I think he's got a point. It seems that Sporting are very difficult to negotiate with and deal with when they're happy with the fee, and they change their mind and ask for more money. There's a lot of issues with the structure of the deal and things like that, which again should not be happening, but it happens because the release clause of Gyokeres, which is 100 million euros, and Arsenal are not going to pay that, but there's a gentleman's agreement that we mentioned on the show before between Gyokeres and Sporting that he can go for less money than that. It's just for how much money exactly are they going to let him go, and that seems to change a lot quite regularly with Sporting, and they're very public owner and president. So it's not an easy negotiation at all for that, and that's why I think he's taking a little bit more time than really he should have and what people were expecting.
But it's going to happen?
Yeah, I think it will happen. He wants to go there. They are in very strong position. They're not far from a full agreement, but it seems that, Sporting are not always easy to deal with.
I was thinking, Jules, not since you championed Karim Benzema to be Ballon d'Or have we seen such propaganda coming from your social media regarding a player, and that is Madueke making the move from Chelsea. I can't... Every hour is a different post saying he's such a great signing. You don't know why everyone is against it.
That's not so. By the way, I'm really pushing for Ousmane Dembele, obviously my boy, to win the Ballon d'Or, but that's another story for another time.
Yes.
For Madueke, it's just I don't really understand the negativity around him. I'm not sure really where this is coming from. We said on the show many times, okay, he's not maybe Bukayo Saka yet at that kind of level or a top winger from a top European club, but there's a good potential there. He's an England international. He's only 23 years old. He will bring competition to the squad. He will bring character to the team. different options for Arteta. This is good, and I just this hashtag about no to Madueke. No, I think this is pretty harsh on him, to be fair. So that's all I was saying. I think Arsenal fans are being really harsh with this signing, and maybe the timing is not right. If Gyokeres was already an Arsenal player and then they were going to sign Madueke, that would have gone down better with fans. I understand that, but I think Gyokeres will happen, and I think Madueke is not a bad signing. And just to finish on that, if you're a top European club, 50 million, even for a squad player, is what you pay. If you look at Liverpool, City, PSG, they've got players. Barcola is on the bench for PSG every single game. It costs you 50 million. It's the same for all the top clubs. When you need to build that depth in the squad, you need to buy a player at that price, even if they're not guaranteed starters.
Jules, what was the first thing in your head when you heard that Arsenal were going to sign Madueke? Was the first thing in your head not, why are they letting him go?
Well, Chelsea, but Chelsea need money. They need to bring money in for the spending that they have, which I understand. And that's the reason. And maybe they think 50 million, which, by the way, it's 50 million. It's a good amount for somebody who bought for 30 million 2 years ago. I get that, Stevie. But I think that's the price for wingers right now. It was maybe not the case 2 years ago. But right now, every winger will go for similar price. And yeah, you're right. Maybe Chelsea are happy with the deal and they're happy to let him go, and they might reinvest that money, or I think they've reinvested that money already with Joao Pedro and the Lab, for example. So we'll have to see. But yeah, you're right. It's a fair. I don't think he's done as well as he could have or should have at Chelsea. I still don't think it's a bad signing for Arsenal.
And where do you stand on this hashtag campaign, Robert?
He's inconsistent, but I've seen him have some great games. He's going to be a challenge for Martinelli, I would imagine, to start with. I think he prefers to play on the right-hand side, but I think with Saka in the side most weeks, it's going to be out on the left-hand side that he's going to play. I think it probably means the end, really, for Trossard playing out on that left-hand side. It's going to be Martinelli or Madueke. But it improves the squad, and that's what we've been saying with Arsenal at times. They've got a good first team without a centre-forward, but when they had injuries, the squad wasn't quite big enough, and that's improved the squad. And if Martinelli doesn't play particularly well, or Saka gets injured, you've got a quality or big enough player to come in and fill the gaps. So I think it's okay.
Mark, that's it, isn't it? Last show for you with us. Beautiful stuff. Thank you very much. You're going to stock up on Hershey's, really, to take home.
Yeah, I don't know. I may not do it after the game tomorrow, the big game. I don't know. You might see me again tomorrow, Dan.
Oh, of course, after the final.
Oh, you're all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jules, thank you very much for joining us. Jules, of course, in Switzerland, covering the Women's Euros, which, of course, is going on at the moment. Just a reminder, plenty of content regarding transfers over on Transfer Talk. That is available over on our website. We talked about it a lot, haven't we? Malik Tillman and that possible move to Bayer Leverkusen. That has been confirmed for 35 million euros. This is what the US international had to say.
I'm happy, I'm excited. I think it's a good step for me, for my career.
Your new head coach is a Dutchman, Erik ten Hag. What do he expect from you?
I spoke to him. And I think, you guys know him from Ajax, so I think he wants to play in a quite similar way. But yes, it's a different league for him as well. It's a new league, it's a new experience, so it's going to be an exciting step.
He becomes the second most expensive US transfer in soccer history. Christian Pulisic at number one. Brendan Harrison was 33 million. To get into Leeds back in 2022. A lot more on that, I imagine, and it is a special Football Americas tonight as they count down to kick off in the Club World Cup. Be sure to join them at 9:30 Eastern. Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Stevie's here, Robbo as well. Robbo, I apologise during your tactical breakdown of how to beat PSG. I somewhat glazed over.
Yes, well, you glazed over quite a bit when I'm talking. I've noticed that.
Robbo dressed for Wimbledon, I would suggest today, looking smart.
What I would say is a little while ago, I went to a wedding in this, and one of the kids came out and asked me for an ice cream. He thought I was the ice cream man.
Very good. So that takes us to the first question, Robbo. Start bench will drop these non-football events.
Okay.
Super Bowl, Wimbledon, the Masters.
I would go with the Super Bowl because I quite like NFL.
Okay. Do you have a team?
It was years ago. It was Chicago Bears because in the 80s they were the in team. I'm not a great fan of the other two particularly, but I would, because I saw a lot of it when I was a youngster, I would go with Wimbledon and Masters, which I'm not a golfer, so it would be down there.
That would be down there. Wimbledon is something that doesn't appeal to you at all. It's strange, given your ways.
Well,
And your dress.
yeah. No, tennis I didn't play at school.
No.
I watched it on the telly, but didn't get that enthusiastic about it. And I watched tennis when it was at its very best, when McEnroe and Lendl and Ball were playing. That was when it was at its best.
the good old days.
And you knew all the players. I don't know the players anymore.
It was only posh kids that played tennis.
It was, yeah, in England.
Well, he went to posh school, didn't he?
I went to a posh school, yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he went private school.
And my
That's why he's got that massive chip
my
on his
cousin
shoulder.
was the captain of Queen's Club and one of their top players.
Wow.
And he
Must
now
be
plays
a
it.
right toffee nose.
I wouldn't say that. And he's now plays in the seniors tour.
Okay.
And he does very well.
Do you talk to him?
No, we see each other at funerals and weddings.
Right, lovely.
Yeah.
Cheery. Stevie, where you put those three?
I'm with Robbo.
You would have the Masters last, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I couldn't walk around 18 holes following people. No chance.
Okay. But what's just about a spectacle to watch on television? They're all three are on at the same time. Which one would you
Way
choose?
too late for him.
Which one
On
would you
television.
Yes. Which would you choose to watch out of those three?
On television, now that's a different ballgame.
Okay. All right.
I would switch with Masters and Wimbledon on television.
But you would have Super Bowl one?
Yep.
Really? You'd have Super Bowl ahead of Masters and then Wimbledon?
Yes.
Okay. As a footballer, did you enjoy the summer, the vacation, and want it to last, or were you very excited for the start of the season, Stevie?
No, you wanted it to last.
Right. Did you not miss like the camaraderie, the banter with the boys, that sort of everyday exchanges that you had?
Not really.
No?
No, missed the nights out.
Right.
I would say that's what I missed, the nights out that we used to have on a regular occasion.
Yes.
And then after a couple of weeks, after the first 2 weeks, you start enjoying it.
Okay.
First 2 weeks, there's nothing fun about pre-season.
I see.
It's just head down and run.
Robbo, I imagine you liked a vacation.
I look forward to the end of the season when your body was aching and mentally you were sort of quite tired. But I
You're
did a
still
lot.
aching your knees.
Yeah, I know,
back.
but I still did a lot of training during the summer. But I like to get away from the club for 4 or 5 weeks.
Right. Get away from people.
Get away from people. I didn't like it when I had to go with the England under-21s or the England youth because I was playing first team football at a young age and I was shattered come the end of the season. Then I had to pick myself up again and go with the under-21s.
So you get for being such a high standard that you represent
And
your
that's
country.
when a lot of the injuries were caused, when I was away in those summer tournaments.
Is Kylian Mbappe, Robbo, too selfish to ever lead a team to Champions League glory?
I'm not going to say he's never going to win a Champions League, but he is too selfish, as a lot of the top players are when they get to a certain level. He's got to work harder. I don't expect him to chase back and do all those sort of things, but when the ball's 5-10 yards in front of him, go and close down. If you're the first person to go and close down, other people join you. I don't expect him to run back and chase midfield players, but go and work hard when the ball's in and around you. Because people say, well, Lionel Messi never did that. He did under Pep Guardiola when he was younger, and Barcelona were the best team in the world at the time.
I mean, he could at least fill a hole. You know, at least get in a position where you'll stop a passing lane. I mean, that's the easiest thing to ask somebody to do. But he just can't be bothered.
No.
He just can't.
I mean, he played with a world-class player in Ian Rush, and Ian Rush was the best person to close the ball. When you were a centre-half playing against Ian Rush, you had no time on the ball.
No chance. I don't think. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a centre forward close the ball any better than Rush. Not at all.
Stevie, how different was the off-season as a coach compared to when you were a player? Your off-season was quite long, MLS, what's it?
Aye.
November to
Yeah, it was great.
March?
Aye. I mean, early on, it was October.
Okay.
To early March. Yeah.
So what did you do?
Not a lot.
Well, shouldn't you be scouting and looking for new
I
players?
didn't have any money to go scouting.
Okay.
I would go to some of the college, like the NCAAs,
Okay.
some of the college games. I'd go to college games that were close.
Right.
I'd probably have one trip that I would organise, usually somewhere in Africa, and that
Okay.
would last a week to 10 days, and then the rest of the time was figuring what to do.
What about you, Robert, as a coach?
Well, there was a couple of seasons when I was at Wimbledon where I'd go in probably 3 times a week, and all the coaches would come in. We would talk about the new tactical approach we were going to take, looking at players that we could buy, looking at organising the pre-season. Were we going to go with 1 session a day, 2 sessions a day? And at one point we had 3 sessions a day, but much shorter. Making sure we got enough physios on board, enough masseurs on board, because we had quite a bit of money at the time. So yeah, there was a lot of work to do in the summer. But it was quite nice work because it was just organising. You didn't have to worry about players and things like that. Because that's when it becomes a pain.
Yeah, I mean, because we had such a long break, I used to have to deal with, at the end of every season, 5 or 6 of the senior guys coming up to me going, can we come in for the next 2 or 3 weeks and just kick around?
Right.
I'd be like, no chance. No chance. Because somebody would end up getting injured, they wouldn't warm up properly, and somebody would fall out and they'd end up being a rammy.
Okay, a rammy? Let's define a rammy.
A rammy, just fighting, wrestling, all kinds of nonsense.
A fight between 2 players.
So, yeah, you just need 2 to have a problem with each other.
Right.
And you get in a situation like that.
And there's a rammy.
And there's a
Rammy. What?
Rammy.
Yeah,
Rammy.
Rammy. Oh, that's the first time I've ever heard that. Rammy.
Yeah, rammy.
Robert, how good of a partnership would Isak and Ekitike be up front for Newcastle, along with Elanga and Gordon? You like Ekitike?
I do. Saw him for Frankfurt last season where he was running. He did very well with Marmoush. They had a great partnership for the first part of the season before Marmoush went to Man City. Pacey, makes good runs.
Yep.
Likes to get in behind defenders. Isak, likewise, but I think Isak's probably a little bit better with his back to goal. But it'd be a great partnership if those 2 got together.
Do you think Real Madrid must sell Rodrigo, Robbo, to reinvest and shore up liabilities in defence and midfield if the goal is the Champions League?
I think they want to get rid of Rodrigo anyway, don't they?
What's their #1 priority when it comes to signings now?
Well, they've signed a left back. We know that, so that's one of the areas that you would look at.
You could do another centre back.
Yeah, so they've got Howson at the moment, and Militao has been out injured for quite some while. Rudiger has had his moments, but he's had a couple of very good seasons.
Asensio's
I think Asensio's going to struggle.
Well, Asensio had a great season last year, was probably their best centre-half, but since Xabi Alonso, he's had an absolute shocker right in front of the new manager. So probably they would need another quality centre-half, I would say.
Final question, Robbo. Today is your last day, of course. How long have you been here? How many days?
10 days.
10 days? Are you going to miss Dan and Stevie? Of course.
Always miss you, Dan.
Yes.
I miss Steve even more because he's not so rude as you. Because,
wow.
As I've said many, many times, you can be a horrible little man at times.
Wow.
Is that true, Stevie?
Napoleon comes to mind.
Yeah. A little dictator. A little dictator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Argumentative.
Who needs enemies?
All of the above.
That is it then. That brings us to the end of today's show. We'll be back. Stevie's heading to New York tomorrow.
Yeehaw!
Why yeehaw?
I'm trying to convince myself.
That's Dallas, you go yeehaw, isn't it?
Texas is yeehaw. Like,
what does it matter?
The Wild West. Well,
what does it matter?
Seems strange to make that noise in reference to New York.
Well, what noise do you want to make?
I don't know, but if I was to say, if you were to make that noise, no one's going to go, oh, you go to New York.
Yeehaw!
The Big Apple.
The Big Apple. Dag nabbit.
Oh, yeah. Stevie and Craig together.
Cor blimey.
What a treat.
What do you want?
ESPN FC then back with you live from New York to break down everything you need to know about the Club World Cup final.